Okay. I would say, give it like a couple of beats for it to really start streaming. And then we can, would you like to call the meeting to order? Spacebar.
I'm going to call the meeting to order. Today is
Wednesday night.
Wednesday, September the 9th,
It's 11:30 a.m.
in Zoom.
Yes.
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided in accordance with the provisions of the Senator Byron M. Bear Open Public Meetings Act by notice published in both in the New York Star Ledger and the Asbury Park Press, and with the Lakewood Municipal Clerk. And we're not posting it and posting on the Lakewood Township website. I'd like to take a roll call for attendance. Mr. Calabro?
He's there. He's on mute.
Here.
Mr. Flansbaum, yes. Mr. Halverson, yes.
Yes.
Mr. Katz. Mr. Schuster.
Yes.
Mr. Stafford Smith.
Yes.
And Mr. Kirshner.
Here.
Thank you. We have almost a full house.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Minutes, we're going to defer. Everybody knows the township has taken a couple of blows in the last couple of days. We've lost some long-time public servants, and it's been a little bit disruptive. So with the board's forbearance, we'll get all the minutes caught up and hopefully be able to pass all of them by next meeting. Financials were sent out this morning, so everybody should have it. They've been posted. So, Anita, do you want to just hit the highlights on those?
Statement of accounts reflects deposits we've received. We've received payments from most of our tenants. We have a couple stragglers, and we're working on them with Lakewood Airport, and otherwise we have everything on time. Nothing extraordinary. It's just a statement of accounts, and I'm looking for an acceptance of it. It still needs tweaking. We're working on it as we get used to Lakeland Bank, the transition to their new system and putting more of our accounts online for us to manage. So it's, we're working on it. So I'm just looking for a statement of accounts to accept it.
Move to accept the accounts.
Second.
Just before you vote, if I could, we're still carrying that escrow amount down there, and we had had a claim, if you will, on the escrow from the buyer of that property, and our engineer has been reviewing their submission, but is waiting on additional data from them. And as recently as yesterday or today, we've requested from them that they supply the information that Jeff is waiting on so he can give a final opinion, and then we'll be able to release the escrow if the findings comport with what they're claiming. Okay, that's an all in favor vote. So, Bob, you can just call for all in favor for the statement of accounts.
Have a all in favor vote?
Aye.
Okay. Nays? None?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, we have a bill list in the amount totaling $60,351.64. Right now we're in the middle of rehabbing the airport, Lakewood Airport terminal, and we're doing the work to get the business, the fixed space operator business going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tommy, you don't have it? One second, Anita. Tom, you didn't receive it this morning?
I have the whole packet, but I don't have the bill list.
There were 3 attachments this morning.
You know what? It's probably my fault.
Let me also address this one other item in there that is coming from the Strand account. Back when we did the the big project for the boiler changes and the rooftop units, there was a need to bring in a crane and close down the streets. And at that time, in consultation with the township, we made the determination to have that happen on the weekend when traffic would be least impacted and there would be no disruption to the regular commerce in the downtown area. That incurred an overage cost of $5,000, which we're taking out of the Strand accounts to pay for that. Of course, most of the money for the actual project was coming through grants and other sources, but this was I think a necessary expense. So we're paying that on this bill list.
I have the bill list. I just found it.
You do? Okay. If you have any questions on any specific items,
No.
speak
I see
now.
Ozane is on there now. We didn't have that previously at the apartments.
We always have Ozane. They've been our. It's just it comes and goes. It's it's periodic.
Once a month. Yeah,
periodic
once a month.
expense. Yeah, but their billing comes in when it comes in.
Yes.
Sometimes you'll see a bill list and it won't be there, but they should be fairly steady once a month. We also had a pause, obviously, in the early days of COVID, where they weren't able to come in, but they're back on track. So we're in good shape with most of that. So if we can get a motion and a second.
The motion, okay.
I'll make the motion.
Hal?
Second.
Second, Greg.
Okay, on roll call. Okay, Mr. Glabro,
Yes.
Mr. Flansbaum. Is Mr. Flansbaum here?
Yes, he is.
Mr. Flansbaum. Okay.
No, he might be.
Yeah, I'm looking for him and I don't see him. Mr. Halverson,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner,
Yes, except for the item on Fantasy Workshop, Fantasy Enterprises.
Okay.
I didn't get a bill list, I don't think.
3921.
3921. Okay. The budget to actual report is, as usual, it's informational. If there are specific questions, we can address them. But right now, there's a lot of that stuff is still in flux because we have money set aside for a variety of projects, some road improvements, some portions of participation, the park and ride, all of which is money that's dedicated for those uses, but they haven't been put in play yet just because of the slowdown related to COVID. So that'll continue to be, there for everybody's reference. But as we go along and actually start to implement some of those things, that'll come alive a little bit more. Okay. With your permission, Mr. Chairman, my report. Most of my report today is related to items in the session. I will just tell you that we continue to see very high occupancy in the park. Things are returning to normal as best as we can expect it. And so the good news is that the economy is coming back in a big way in terms of the industrial sector. And we're continuing to see indicators that things are going to continue to grow. Surprisingly, again, Lakewood's in the office market continues to be very, very strong, even as it's depressed in other places. We may have discussed this before, but we think that a lot of what's coming out of the COVID and that's pushing people out of the big cities, like New York, is actually going to benefit us and actually continue to pump up our demand for Class A office space. So there's a number of really good dynamics taking place there, and pretty much the airport is thriving. It's great. It's a hotbed of activity. It's had surprisingly one of its biggest summers ever. Maybe it's a result of COVID, or maybe I don't know why, but it's just been a lot of good feedback to the improvements that we've been making. And I will tell you, we have a resolution on today for a small contract for our architect, and that is so that he can provide a set of docs for zoning And it's a really basic concept around the new terminal plan, but this is in conjunction with a public-private partnership activity that we're doing with one of the neighboring properties where it's laid out before when we agree to do a lease of some excess property for overflow parking. We're also getting a lot of in-kind benefit from them in terms of constructing new roads for the airport access from Airport Road, and a lot of the engineering work related to the preliminary and kind of, infrastructure things that we need to get done, as well as handling the CAFRA permits. So there's a lot of cost savings there for us, but we do have to provide the zoning set for the building that we're going to build. So that's what that contract is for. It's a comparatively small amount of money, given the amount of bang for the buck that we're getting. So everything else I have is in closed session.
Steve?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, whatever happened to the sidewalk project? Where is that?
So I think that we had, when you mean the sidewalk project, you mean that one little walkway piece?
No, I mean for the park. We were gonna, with the roads.
Yeah, it's floating. It's a floating sidewalk. But I think the idea was that there was a portion of a state grant that RVE was working on, like doing a test bed, if you will. And we were originally going to do this piece of Swarthmore that wasn't attached to anything, and then we talked about actually repurposing it and putting it around the park and ride. So it's with RVE right now, and it'll happen when it happens. But we don't really have that. It's a very large undertaking, the idea of widespread sidewalks throughout the park, because you're talking about a lot of private property, and you have to figure out what kind of walkway you're going to do and where you're going to do it. So it's not on the front burner right now.
And what about the street? Making the streets no parking. Where's that?
All of that happens after we do the park and ride. That's why we got to get the park and ride happening now, and then we can come to the township committee with our list. And the LIPAC, which is this coalition of businesses in the park, they took the lead on identifying which are the streets we want to get after first, because they have the most impact on the businesses that are there. So that's a to-do that's on their plate right now. They're supposed to present us with the first set of streets that they want to have restricted. And so as we get the park and ride up and running, and they come to us with that request, then we go through our liaison and directly to the mayor and committee and ask them to adopt ordinances to change the parking requirements in the park.
We have a relationship now with that group in the park. What do they call themselves?
LIPAC.
LIPAC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we have an ongoing relationship with them. Sure.
Good. Okay. That's a long time in coming.
Oh, no question. Okay. For the attorneys, I had a call from Sean Keane earlier. As everybody can see, Catherine Kim is sitting in today. Hi, Catherine. Good to have you. So we'll be engaging her in a number of things in the closed session. I don't think there's anything in open for the attorney. Hold on one second. Let me just check my email to see if there were comments from the public, because the LIC comments address, of course, is open. And Anita, did you receive anything? Nothing, right? Hold on one second. Double check.
Whose phone?
My phone. Wasn't for me.
No, okay, we have nothing. So, if that's the case, then we can go to.
Move to closed session.
Thank you. Looked to me like Tommy said he seconded.
Second.
All in favor? We don't need a roll call.
No, but we need Anita to read the notice.
Okay.
Whereas Section 7B of the Senator Byron M. Open Public Meetings Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting under circumstances, and whereas this industrial commission of the Township of Lakewood is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the industrial commission of the Township of Lakewood in the county of Ocean as follows. The public should be excluded from discussion of private and confidential matters involving any of the 9 exclusions as set forth in Section 7B of said law and is hereinafter specified. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows: contract negotiations and litigation. It is anticipated at this time that the above stated subject matter will be made public only when reasons for discussing and acting on them in closed session no longer exist. Said determination to be made by further resolution adopted by the Industrial Commission, and this resolution shall take effect immediately. Time is 11:45 a.m.
Hang on one second. The stream is restarted. 5 seconds just to make sure that it actually works. And okay, so we're back, and let me just quickly
All right.
check something.
Any nays?
Hold on one second.
Seeing no nays.
No, we're good. Okay, there's still no comments. So I think we're good. So comments from the public, we're still fine. Okay, resolution. We have 2 resolutions. One is on your agenda, and one is we're going to ask the board members to. So the one on the agenda is awarding a professional service contract to Tokarski and Milliman. We may be able to, we're still negotiating, see if we can get a little discount, but so a not to exceed number is as per their proposal, which would include kind of an electronic version of their final product, which would be $15,000.
Okay, move to accept resolution number 200901.
Second.
On roll call,
Roll call.
Anita.
Mr. Calabro,
Yes.
Mr. Flansbaum,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Stafford Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, if I could ask somebody to offer this is a resolution for the Industrial Commission to reacquire a property sold some 13 years ago to a buyer for consolidation with their industrial property. This piece of land, approximately 1.25 acres, was never developed in conjunction with their obligation to do that. And so by rule of the contract, they have to offer it back to us for us to repurchase it. And this would then authorize us to go ahead and purchase that 1.25 acres back for $69,146.10. Is that what it was?
25 cents.
I'll make the motion.
Point of information, who's the seller?
Their name is Hoffman. Hoffman?
What was the business?
It was where the Poland Spring Waters was. Nestle bought the business.
Yeah, the Watchung.
Watchung.
Okay. That's on Swarthmore, right?
It is 1900
Yes.
Swarthmore. So
I second the motion made by Greg.
I'll escalate.
okay, Anita, we're going to need a roll call. So we're going to be spending money.
Mr. Calabro,
Yes.
Mr. Flansbaum,
Yes.
Mr. Halverson,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Stafford Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're down to the chairman. Anything to say, Mr. Kirschner?
Yeah, say that again, Steve.
We're up to your comments. Do you have anything to say?
I just had one thought about raising the height of the buildings on the Bathgate property, if that would interfere with our flight patterns coming into the airport.
So, so they're not in the flight path. They're actually outside. There's several gradations of flight restrictions. When something's right in the, I'm gonna mute you. Sorry. When something's right in the path of the runway, then there's a height restriction to 0 right on the exact direct of the runway. But as it starts to go out, they have you to 20 feet, which basically means 1 story. And then as you go a little further out, still on the airport property, you get to 40 feet. And by the time you get to Bathgate's property, it's 60 feet. So, and then after that, it's kind of free. But of course, anybody looking to build anywhere in that area has to be checking with the state DOT. They give them the guidelines based on FAA and other regulations about how high they can go, what kind of signaling. They do have to put lights on the top of high buildings and things like that, so that pilots approaching can, like beacons, basically. So I'm sure that'll be built into the plans, but it does not, I don't believe it's restricted by direct interference with our flight path.
It came to mind of that new building on Airport Road on the east side.
Yes,
That's pretty high.
it is. And pretty.
Yeah, if you like that color scheme. That looks like the one that was up on the Turnpike Green place when it was originally built. You remember what that looked like?
Not really. Any other comments? Nothing else? Okay, so if we could get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. And those of you who celebrate Rosh Hashanah, Happy New Year. Ksiva Tova.